Good morning. It's Duane Plapp, Sales Without Selling. We're going to be talking today a little bit about with David Tasto from the Northwest Boston area. He's a home care franchise with Assisting Hands Home Care. David, tell us a little bit about your background. How'd you, where you're from, and how many, you got any kids? You got married, or a little bit about yourself.
Thanks, Wayne. Grew up in Minnesota on a farm near the South Dakota border. Went through high school in South Central Minnesota, and wanted to take on the big city. Moved out to Boston for college. Went to Boston University for engineering. Started in a software field as a co-op, but then moved on to semiconductor industry for a few years, and then into the security industry, working for an X-ray security company. After that, consumer products, and currently home care.
Okay. Are you married? Do you have children?
Yeah, definitely. Married college sweetheart. Met at college, and she was local out in Massachusetts. So met her at college and stayed with her. Got married right after school, and went out on a road trip across the country. So we traveled through Minnesota, where I grew up, all the way out to California and back. Loved the honeymoon.
Unbelievable. Do you have any children?
Yeah, now we have kids, two, 6.5 and a 4.5. They're into sports, and a bunch of activities, dance and so forth. But yeah, they're filling a lot of my free time.
So you had an engineering background, and now you're in the home care business. So how'd that happen? What got that transition going?
Yeah, it's basically a family experience. So in a short, inspired by caregivers who are caring for my grandmother. But maybe just a quick story about that. A few years back, my grandmother was diagnosed with dementia, and as she progressed through the courses of the disease, my mom was the primary caregiver. My grandmother lived with my mom and stepdad in Minnesota, but as the disease progressed, it became a little bit challenging at home, and eventually she moved into a community, and then eventually into the memory area of the community. But towards the end, she needed hospice care. And I recall my mom speaking to me back from Minnesota about how amazing these caregivers, the extra help that was available with the hospice benefit, and how thoughtful and considerate these caregivers were. She also said, wow, if I only knew help like this existed earlier, I could have kept mom at home longer. So one thing just started, kind of perked my interest and kind of piqued what I wanted to do. And I was just considering more of that avenue. But then I had a chance to meet those caregivers. I went back to Minnesota and met those caregivers at my grandmother's funeral. These caregivers were so thoughtful and considerate in those final few weeks that they cared for my grandmother. They were able to tell stories on how they brought smiles to her face by just painting her nails, doing her hair, and bringing in and dressing her in her favorite blouses. And this is someone, my grandmother was in advanced stages of dementia, in the hospice period. She didn't realize much of what was going on around her, but those caregivers truly cared about who was in that person. That person was somebody's grandmother, somebody's mom, and they went that extra mile. Just totally inspired me to look further into the home care business. So coming back on the plane from Minnesota, I just had to research more about this home care and supporting caregivers for seniors or disabled folks.
Well, your passion is unbelievable. That is fantastic. And I know you're really active in the local community. You're involved in the Chamber of Commerce, okay? And I think you're on the selection committee for the new president, if I'm not mistaken. And let me ask a question. What is the territory that you're working in? You're Northwest Boston. Whereabouts is that?
Sure. No, it's like from the east, north of Boston, Winchester area, all the way out to near Acton, Mass, towards the west side, but then down Waltham, Waltham and Newton areas, all the way up to, in the north, Lowell and Chelmsford.
Super. Okay, great. And tell me a little bit about your involvement with the Chamber.
Yeah, definitely a member of the Chamber. Found it to be a great resource. Looking forward to additional networking and meeting even more members of the business area in the Bedford. But I found it helpful to make those connections but also just to network with community leaders. Now, since meeting some of them, the current president, I've been asked to become a member of the selection committee. Now we're actively looking for, someone who's going to take us to the next level, take the Bedford Chamber to the next level.
Well, that's fantastic. I mean, you're really involved in the community, and it's a pleasure to be working with you. And you're going to be a superstar in the home care business, because I tell you what, with the passion that you have and the story about your mother and your grandmother, that's unbelievable. The people in Boston are going to be very thankful, because guess what? You're there, you're helping people, and it's making it happen. We're really proud of you. That's a superstar, Dave Tasto. Thank you for your time today, and good luck in the future, as I know you're going to be a successful home care franchise for Assisting Hands in the future. And I'm looking forward to you probably on the leaders list with Assisting Hands. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Duane. I appreciate the time.